The Acer ConceptD 3 Pro versus the MSI Prestige 15. Two of my favorite unsuspecting new kids on the block for creative professional laptops. Both color accurate, both powerful, both well built, coming at you right now. If you're new to the channel, my name is Benji Kaiser. This is where you're going to find the best tech and tools for creative professionals. So if that sounds like your kind of place, consider subscribing and ring the bell so you don't miss out on any of the future videos. Right now, we're talking about the ConceptD 3 Pro versus the MSI Prestige 15. And if you're curious about the exact pricing and in-depth specs of either of these models, during the video, you can head down in the description below and click one of those links. Now, if you do make a purchase through that link, I will get a small commission, but at no extra cost to you. And side note, you can also get a discount at Computer Upgrade Kings for the MSI Prestige by using the discount code BEN3. With so much hype constantly swirling around the Dell XPS 15 and the Macbook Pro for creative professionals, it is sometimes hard to locate the diamond in the rough. Well, I've got you covered. In this video, I'm putting a head-to-head the ConceptD 3 Pro and the Prestige 15, two powerful, 100% color accurate, and well-built laptops for creative professionals. As I first pulled these two machines out of the box, I must say that the MSI stands out from the two. It is thin, lightweight, and it is wrapped in all aluminum. The Acer ConceptD 3 Pro is also aluminum, it just doesn't pop as much as the MSI Prestige 15. They both have sturdy hinges, plus they open and close smoothly to 180 degrees. Basically, they can lay flat on the table. The Prestige is far lighter than the ConceptD. The MSI Prestige weighs in at The Prestige 15 is far lighter than the ConceptD. The Prestige weighs in at 3.6 pounds, whereas the Acer ConceptD 3 Pro weighs in at 5.1 pounds. The Acer ConceptD is going to have a slightly better battery life at around 7 to 9 hours doing creative professional tasks like video editing, graphic design, photo editing, whereas the Prestige is going to get around 6 to 8 hours. Now, these hours, vary depending on the task you're working on. If you're writing up a brief, you're going to get more battery life. If you're designing or editing, you're going to get less battery life. So you kind of have a little bit of a range here because of the tasks we're doing as creative professionals. As stated in the intro, both of these screens are very color accurate, both covering 100% of the Adobe and sRGB color gamut range. But the cool thing about the Acer ConceptD 3 Pro is it edges out the MSI Prestige by getting 100% DCI-P3 color accuracy as well, where the MSI only gets about 95% of that DCI-P3. All right, let's talk about the ports. As you see, I'm putting the ports on the screen. I always recommend people to consider their day-to-day life. What ports do you need in your workflow? One thing that I will point out about the MSI is their foresight to include a dongle to increase the amount of ports they offer outside of those two standard Thunderbolt ports. I think this is really thoughtful, and in the age of removing the ports from a laptop like the Macbook Pro is doing and many other compact, thin, lightweight laptops, MSI is making a provision to still give you a good amount of ports, even though they don't include them on the side of the computer. Both laptops come with a 720p webcam for anyone that does video calls on the regular like myself. The keyboard on the MSI is smooth and has a spongy key press. I like it a little bit better than the ConceptD 3, and note that there's more spacing on the side of the Prestige keyboard to give your fingers and palms some room as you reach for the outer keys. I don't really like how close to the edge my palms and fingers get on the ConceptD 3. It kind of feels like I'm almost going to fall off the keyboard deck. This is a kind of a quirk of mine, but it really differentiates a lot of laptops because there's a lot of differences between the setup and the style of keyboard decks on specific laptops. Now, the trackpads. The Prestige and ConceptD have fantastic trackpads. Personally, I like the ConceptD better. It has a smoother click, but both have great gestures and great touch accuracy. These two trackpads are in my top 3 trackpads list, along with the MacBook Pro 16. All right, now let's jump into the performance section of this video to talk about how these laptops will handle the tasks of a creative professional. First, the Acer ConceptD 3 Pro comes with the Intel 9th Gen 6-core i7-9750H processor, 32 gigs of RAM, the NVIDIA Quadro T1000, and 512 gigs of solid-state hard drive, whereas the Prestige comes with the 10th Gen 6-core i7-10100U processor, 64 gigs of RAM, the NVIDIA GTX 1650 Max-Q, and 1 terabyte of solid-state hard drive. Now, I want to talk about these specs because, as you might be, wondering, why are they, quite a bit different? So that's gonna make a difference when we run the tests. First, the processor. The MSI comes with the latest Intel 10th Gen 6-core i7 10710U processor, whereas the Acer comes with the Intel 9th Gen 6-core i7 9750 processor. Whew, it's a mouthful. They are both 6-core i7 processors, but there is one important difference that will reflect in the tests. The 10th gen is a mobile U processor built for thin and lightweight laptops, whereas the 9th gen in the Acer ConceptD is the standard H processor. It's going to have more power. The U processor in the MSI Prestige can boost up to the level of performance of the H processor, but the problem is it can't reside there for long and it has to start to scale back so it doesn't heat the computer up too much. Now, there is a technique called overclocking that allows you to keep your CPU up at those levels, but I don't recommend doing it. If you don't know how to properly overclock a computer, you could burn it up and end up ending the whole lump of a broken computer because it completely voids the warranty. The last thing I want to talk about in the spec comparison is the GPUs. As you see, the MSI Prestige 15 has the NVIDIA GeForce GTX 1650 Max-Q, and the Acer ConceptD 3 Pro has the NVIDIA Quadro T1000. That Quadro is a special GPU. It's built specifically for creative professionals, whereas the NVIDIA GTX 1650 Max-Q is a gaming GPU they've brought over to creative professional computers. And notice that Max-Q, that actually means it's the mobile version of the processor, so it's going to be a little bit slower as well. So those are some key differences I wanted to discuss. Now let's move forward into the actual tests. Note that both of these computers are going to be great for graphic design and photo editing. They have good processors, they have a good amount of RAM, so you're not going to have to worry about those tasks. Where my main tests come into play is in video editing because it takes more power, and we're going to see some slight differences between the two. What I do for all of my reviews is I take the same 9-minute 4K clip, put it into Premiere Pro, and export it out at full quality 4K YouTube settings. I do this so you can look at any laptop review on my channel and make your own head-to-head comparison if I haven't laid them out head-to-head in a dedicated video. So the MSI Prestige 15 can do that 4K export in 8 minutes and 38 seconds, whereas the ConceptD 3 Pro can do that in 6 minutes and 53 seconds. So not a huge difference, but you do see a little bit faster out of the ConceptD 3 Pro. If you want to save a little time, export these out to 1080p. The Acer ConceptD 3 Pro can do it in 2 minutes and 23 seconds, whereas the MSI Prestige can do it in 4 minutes and 4 seconds. Now, talking about the fan speed. Which one of these computers is louder or quieter during the export time? So if you're a student or you're working in an office setting and you don't want to have a loud computer, which one should you go with? Well, one thing I'm really impressed about Acer is they're really optimizing their systems to be quiet and efficient and cool. So that means that they're optimizing the components to run together more efficiently and keep the machine cooler, which allows your fans to not kick on and run as loud. So during idle, the fan speed for the ConceptD 3 Pro is around 32 decibels. For the MSI Prestige 15, it's anywhere from 35 to 37 decibels. Now for export, the Acer ConceptD 3 Pro heads up at around 40 decibels, whereas the MSI Prestige is about 45 decibels. So as you can see, the Acer ConceptD 3 Pro runs quieter, which is pretty awesome. Both laptops have excellent playback in Premiere Pro, and they can both play back the 4K clip at full quality settings, which is great. So no lagginess when you're editing or watching your 4K clip in the timeline. If you're looking for a thin, lightweight, on-the-go, all-aluminum laptop as a graphic designer, video editor, or photographer, then the MSI Prestige 15 is going to outpace the Acer ConceptD 3 Pro in that specific category. However, if you want a laptop optimized for creative professionals that is still pretty thin and lightweight, then the Acer ConceptD 3 Pro is a great buy. With that Quadro GPU and the 9th gen Intel H series processor, plus the optimization that Acer is putting into these machines to run cooler and quieter, it's a really solid buy. So either way, you now have some good options versus the MacBook Pro and Dell XPS debate. If you're curious about the exact specs or pricing of these laptops, you can head down in the description below, use one of those links, and again, if you do make a purchase, I will get a small commission, but at no extra cost to you. Subscribe and ring the bell so you don't miss out on the future videos, where I can see you on the next one.